Okay. Onwards and forwards. Alright. As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a mechanist for all those years. Or machinist, or whatever. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. It better be just the wind. Alright. Oh! Dead body. I found the body of a security guard, just doing his job, no doubt. His face was covered with blood from some kind of head wound. I wondered, was this flashlight his? I saw the blunt wound on the guard's head and looked again at the flashlight I was carrying. Oh no, please. Yeah! That's not great. Pretty good flashlight, though. Dug into the ground was a cracked old watch. First my wallet, and now this. Did I retrieve my watch? I sure did. The watch was useless, but I put it on my wrist anyway. Okay. Into the plants. Alright. One of the lockers hung open, and its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. Old work clothes had been picked through, and a few photos and notes had been ripped off the door and spread around. There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear, and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. The door was locked tight, seemed to be connected to the power box beside it. Okay, door was locked, and there was a little electronic box under the handle. Sign was pasted to the front that said, "Danger! Closed for repairs!" Okay, that's alright then. At least they, marked it. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Norman took over a general store after the factory closed. He, Rachel, and I would get lunch every now and then. Rachel liked him because he seemed more positive, despite the setback. I don't think I could say the same about me. Power panel. Looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Sure did. Power panel still wasn't working. Did I try it again? Yes. There it goes. The open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out and the face was unrecognizable. Great. Woman's photo, I knew I had to get back to Rachel to find out what happened. A power panel. Looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Alright, that one's done. It was shut tight. Rusty looking card slot. Alright, so I'm gonna need more stuff. Our old break table, the layer of dust and grime, only made seeing this sting more. Looked like some beer bottles had been used on the table recently. I wondered, was that guard using this as a break room of his own? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't blame him. What else are you gonna do? Oh, the door had been hastily boarded up. Okay. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked here. My head ached, and I recalled the last time Norman, Rachel, and I all had lunch together. Rachel seemed so much more at ease when we all hung out. Another panel that I hope could help me get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Alright. A utility shelf crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? Sure did. As I took the hammer, I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. Okay! Locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? Sure did. Slipped the key card into my pocket. Alright, power back on. Yes. There he goes. Alright. That should be the power back on. Cool. I struck with the hammer. The old wooden boards came apart easily. After I had removed the planks, I left the hammer on the floor. Okay. This was my locker here in the factory. It stank of booze. There was a picture of Rachel on the inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I had taken that picture home when the factory closed. This room was nothing but bad memories. There was a mess of empty booze bottles. I wondered if that man in the house had something to do with this. He sure had a lot of alcohol at his place. I forget where that one door is. Was this it? Aha! The keycard blah blah blah. The keycard I'd found seemed like it would pass through this reader. Did I use the keycard? Sure did. I slid the card through the old reader and turned the handle. Okay, that's an awesome keycard noise. Gotta say. Alright. There was some kind of ventilation hatch there. It looked like I could jump to the room below. My leg hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? Yeah, sure, why not? Oh man, my leg hurt like hell. Also, James Sunderland time! Okay, where are we? There was a crumpled up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily. It was hard to make out. Did I try to read the letter? Sure did. Most of the letter was violently scratched out with what looked to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out, need to, just don't, drinking, need, Norman. Who was Norman writing to? Dunno, dude. I stepped out of the factory, glad to be rid of its smell, of its memories. I couldn't stop thinking about that room with the bottles in it. Was that guard I had found outside really drinking up there? What about Norman? And who had rooted through all those lockers? I couldn't tell where I was as I looked around, but I figured I needed to get to a road, get my bearings. Maybe Norman could help. His store wasn't that far from the turnoff to the factory, if I remembered correctly. Alright, sure this will go splendidly. I really don't like that. I made it sound like there was someone walking behind you. Scarlet does not like that shit. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food and slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Did I take it back? Yeah. I cleaned the card off as best I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card. And now this! I tucked the card into my wallet next to my credit card. Anything else in there? Did somebody steal this from me? I wondered why they would have stashed it there. It sounded like it was going to start raining again. That's not great. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet except for the faint sound of a television. Okay. The entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. Looked like I couldn't just pop it open. Needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. That's not great. Oh! I'm gonna go this way. Oh. 4 doors. What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on a rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing there? Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots on the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others there. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? I'm doing everything, so yeah, sure. I carefully pushed the piece back in place, and I felt a great burden lifted. I got an achievement that is titled Close Call. Or a close call, I should say. A speck of something dark and wet stained one of the sleeves. Well, that's not great. The whole game is like, oh, that's not great. Alright. TV still flickered some indecipherable channel. I couldn't make out what it was on the screen, but that glow just gave me the chills. Oh. Oh no, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he had been shot trying to get up. His eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserve better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? Yeah. I closed his eyelids down, shuddering as I did so. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace or if I just couldn't stand to think any more about what was going on. Probably both. Hope to hell Rachel had nothing to do with that mess. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there on the wood. I'd never been to Norman's place before. At least I didn't remember ever doing so. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yeah! I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. Alright, I have a hairpin. There were takeout containers and food scraps. It looked like Norman was eating for 2. Okay, well that's all that's in there. Other than the loaf of bread on the counter. So I'm gonna keep going. Bye, Norman. What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wondered where it led. Did I pull the chain? Sure did. Gave the chain a single tug and a simple folding ladder to the attic popped down. Ooh. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? Yeah. I opened up the old cardboard box and wasn't entirely surprised by what I saw. There were more of Rachel's things. More of my wife's clothes. Photos, shoes, even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel? What were you doing here with Norman? I just couldn't believe it. My head ached with everything that was running through it. Well, nothing to do but go down. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. Hey, at least I got some use. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual thing: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. I wondered if someone had robbed the place before killing Norman upstairs. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. Ew. What was the matter, Norman? Cheated on your hydro bills, too? Okay, dude. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. Looked to be in much better shape then. Of all the postcards, that one seemed to be the most popular. There were only a few left. It had been weeks since I'd last seen Norman, and finding him that way still left me cold. Thinking of him slumped against that chair only cemented my reassurance in getting rid of that gun. It looked like someone had taken that piece from his store, but why was it in those tunnels? As I stepped outside, I recalled that dusty old box of clothes in Norman's attic. I felt like I had only discovered more questions, no answers. But I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. Okay, how many of these are there? Okay. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. That door only led me back. I had to find my house. Okay, guess I have to go this way. It was locked tight. This wasn't my house. The neighborhood's local post box. The letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I take a look at the letter? Yep. The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. Norman, I'm sending this in a letter to you because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband and your friend. I need some time to sort this out, away from you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him, Norman, so don't think that you can hold that against me. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure I even want to, but he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. I didn't know what to think. My mind was racing, my heart pounding. I had to get home. I just had to. I had the wrong gates. Found it. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I also think there was some blood outside, so that's great. I was expectant, but also afraid. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. Let's go. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. I remembered having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday or sometime before? Table was clean. It hadn't been used any time recently. Door to the basement. It was locked. Where had I put the damned key? There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? Yes. I ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? The front door was locked from inside. I couldn't go out, though. I needed to see if Rachel was here. Door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. I had found the last missing piece from my wallet. The old photo of Rachel and I stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyway? Sure did. I replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I had got part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why'd I throw it away? Achievement unlocked! Stolen identities. Apparently I found all my shit. Oh, our television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but by then it was too late. Rachel was pretty angry about that, I realized. What can you do, man? You know? Ooh, our hallway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. I couldn't really make myself out anymore. I wasn't sure I wanted to. My laptop had been left on and only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of my desk. Did I take it? Yep, sure did. Pocketed the key. The laptop was warm. It had been running for a while. Our sink, which needed to be replaced, one of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't got around to fixing it yet. That old house was charming for sure, but it wasn't always easy. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those old wonderful claw-footed bathtubs. It seemed impractical at times, but it was part of what made that house home. He said it. Alright. Did I already go in here? Yeah, that was where my laptop is. Okay. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I looked more closely, it looked like the man in that house had some of the same books that I did. One book in particular seemed a bit odd. I remembered owning it, but not that edition. My wife's. Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling of what was in it. Did I open it? Inside Rachel's suitcase were a few days' worth of clothes, some personal effects, and a train ticket. As I stared at the ticket, I could feel myself flush with anger and resentment. The date and time matched the receipt that I'd found. Rachel, why? Were you really going to run away with Norman? Was I really such a monster?